Let's go live to Assistant Professor of Economics at George Washington University, Stephen Hamilton. Stephen, the reverberations, they began not far from where you are at the White House. Liberation Day, we're certainly feeling it on our stock market today. What do you make of what you're seeing in terms of the Australian market, the Asian markets as well, ahead of Wall Street tonight? Because we await with much nervousness ahead of the opening on Wall Street.
Yeah, I'm not feeling very liberated, mate. I don't know about you, but let me just say, I mean, I think the futures markets here in the US indicate that after tomorrow we'll have experienced the sharpest stock market crash since 1987. So that's quite extraordinary, bigger than 2008, bigger than COVID. So, it is a really extreme reduction in the wealth of basically every American, and we're feeling very similar reductions in Australia at the same time.
And so, Stephen, where does it get to a point where Donald Trump says, okay, that's enough? Because we know that he sees it, as a benchmark that he has rated his own presidency by, is how the market's doing. He's sensitive to this stuff, is he not? He's not going to just simply let it keep getting smashed in the face of the sort of ideologues within his administration, surely.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can't predict what Donald Trump will do. Anyone who can do that stands to make a lot of money in the next few days. Now, here's what I would say, a few critical things. Firstly, I don't think anyone, certainly I didn't, and I don't think any other mainstream economist, expected it to get this far. Expected the tariffs to be quite so extreme, expected him to stand strong quite so long. So that has come as a big shock to a lot of people, right? The second thing is, even if tomorrow Trump decides to say, oh, just kidding, we're going to take those off, we're going to do a 6-week pause, that's not going to undo the damage. The damage comes from the uncertainty that has been generated by these moves. So businesses are sitting there thinking, do I want to build a factory or not? Consumers are sitting there thinking, do I want to buy a fridge or not, right? That effect, that cooling effect, all at once on the US economy cannot be undone. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle. And that's what causes a recession, right? So I don't think, frankly, anything that Trump can do in the next 24 hours can prevent that. Now, the third thing that's really important is that the US Congress could stop this tomorrow if they wanted. The president does not have unilateral power to enact tariffs. That's why Trump had to announce a national emergency in order to justify these things. So my sense is, if this continues, surely at some point the Congress has to stand up and put a stop to it.
And so, as you say, it's very difficult to predict what Donald Trump will do, but we know that public opinion and the market opinion, he sees these as KPIs for himself. So he's talking about it as being important medicine at the moment. But unfortunately, it's not happening in a vacuum, Stephen. There's also, as you rightly point out, the consumer behaviour, the business behaviour, but then there's the behaviour of key trading partners like China, where this could spiral, this sort of stuff.
Yes, so I think that it's very interesting. If you look at Howard Lutnick, which is his Commerce Secretary, he's very clear that Trump's not for turning. On the other hand, the Treasury Secretary, Besant, is sending out sort of mixed signals. Let's wait and see what the president does. So it is genuinely in his hands. One person decided to sign one executive order, and that's just what we have to wait and see what he'll do next.